win.
Looking end zone, throws, touchdown. Taking a deep shot. DK is down there. DK, touchdown.
Tighten up.
Let's get it, Chad. Tighten up, Chad. Stop playing, Chad. Tighten up, man.
Oh, welcome everyone to another episode of the Music City Audible Podcast Live, MCA Live, presented by Sinkers Beverages, the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville in partnership with 440 Sports, recapping Titans-Patriots, instant reaction. The game just ended. I'm Justin Graver, and joining me, as always, I can say again, because he is back on the mic. What is up, Justin Melo? What a way to come back, and what a week for you to miss. Goodness gracious.
Let me tell you, I miss Titans football. I'm so glad that I'm back in the saddle because I had a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but watching that game just now against the Patriots, I would define as FUE fun, or maybe just FU. Maybe we could stop at the FU, but it was definitely a lot of fun watching the Titans play football again.
You know, if we end the game with 1:48 left in the first half, just end the game there. Titans win 13-10. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I think you said this a couple of weeks ago, but like that first couple possessions, Titans have a lead. By the end of it, you can't help but feel like it was like a, group of four team or whatever, right? Like having a lead there or scoring a touchdown early against a Power 5 conference team, and then just predictably the wheels eventually come off and they get absolutely blown out. I mean, the Patriots could have put up 40 in this game, in my opinion, and held the Titans to 13 as they did. And not that it doesn't look bad at 31-13, but I think it could have looked even worse.
Yeah, so let's get into this game here. The Patriots score 21 unanswered points to win it 31-13. Cam Ward, another unforced fumble, another interception, but also throws for 255 yards and a touchdown. And the Titans had their best first quarter, scoring 10 points of the season. We were wondering, you weren't here, Justin, but we were wondering all week, will the Titans get that new head coach bump, the interim head coach bump? And they did get it for about a quarter, and then it vaporized because the Titans have they lack talent on both sides of the ball, especially when Calvin Ridley is out, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then you lose your two highest paid players on defense in Jeffrey Simmons and L'Jarius Sneed. And, you can debate how good L'Jarius Sneed has been for this team. That's fine. He's still a starting player, and you get Darrell Baker coming off the bench for him. You're going to get worse at that spot. Draymond Jones goes down in this game as well. Not sure if he returned, but you lose Jeffrey Simmons. The Titans defense was already reeling in this game. They gave up 70-something yards on the ground in the first quarter to Ramondre Stevenson. And then you lose Simmons. I mean, this team didn't really stand a chance at that point. This team can't play defense with Jeffrey Simmons off the field. And you saw the result of that. The Patriots get the classic Belichick end of half score, start of half score to take a 13-10 game to 24-13. That obviously, the game felt like it was slipping away at that point, but it wasn't over yet. And then Cam Ward drops back, play action rollout, under immediate pressure from K'Lavon Chaisson, and just coughs up the ball. And we'll talk about, does Cam Ward have a fumbling problem? I've seen lots of comments in the chat already about if Cam Ward has a fumbling problem and if we need to start talking about it. We do. We need to start talking about it. Now, it's still 7 games into his rookie season, so we're not going to make any sweeping declarations or judgments. We're not going to close the book on Cam Ward and call him a bust like some people want us to already. I think Mike McCoy brought some energy, but ultimately he's not going to be the head coach of this team in 2026. So what happens for the rest of the year in the win-loss column doesn't matter that much. You're looking for marginal improvement on a week-to-week basis. Justin, can you make the argument that we saw a little bit of that, at least in the first quarter?
No, I'm not comfortable going there. I mean, they hit a couple good plays in the first quarter, scored a great touchdown, but they totally imploded, lost 31-13. Looked like the Brian Callahan Titans for like 90% of this game, I would say. So, no, I'm not comfortable going there. Just another ugly all-around performance. And the quarterback deserves criticism, in all honesty, right? Like, I don't know how much we're going to go there, but certainly, I mean, I'm going to talk about my least favorite sequence of this game, if that's okay with you.
Let's do it.
And it was probably the one that started the snowball effect, in my opinion. Well, you get the Joey Sly out of bounds kickoff. Patriots get the ball at the 40. Almost immediately score a touchdown, right? Deep ball from Drake May to Keyshawn Butte. So they go up, what was it, 17-13, I believe?
Yep.
17-13 with 50 seconds left in the second quarter. You're going to get the ball back there. You know that the Patriots get the ball to start the third, right? So you're down 17-13. You got a minute left to make something happen. And my feeling in that moment, before the Patriots even kicked it off, was Titans got to do something here because you've given up 17 points in the first half, a ton of rushing yards, as you pointed out. I think at that point, Ramondre Stevenson had already rushed for more yards than he had in any game this year.
He had rushed for more yards at that point in the game than he did in the previous 2 weeks combined.
Right.
For the full game. And we're talking, it's still the first half.
So the way I felt in that moment when they kicked off is you can't stop a nosebleed. Drake May was 10 of 11 at that point with 2 touchdown passes. They're running the ball at will, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards every time they run it at will. You've got to get something here because playing the field position game or playing safe, playing soft is not going to win this football game. I don't know if I mentioned it, but you had already lost Jeffrey Simmons at that point, right? So there are so many things working against you defensively. And they run the ball on first down and essentially run the clock out. I could not believe they didn't try to get 3 there. I mean, you've got the ball at your own, 35, I believe? Like, you signed this big late kicker who had already made like a 49-yarder, a 50-yarder. You don't need a whole lot of yards to go out there and get a field goal. And remember, at this point, don't let the narrative change based on what happened in the second half. Cam Ward had been playing well up until this point. So you should have some faith in the way your quarterback is playing. You have no faith in the way your defense is playing. You've lost your best defensive player. Can't stop the run. Can't stop the pass. I'm probably repeating myself a bit here, but you've got to go get something. And they just run the ball and run out the clock. And then predictably, Patriots get the ball to start the third quarter, score a touchdown. They go up 24-13. I thought the game was over right then and there. And then you get the Cam Ward low-light embarrassment that makes it an embarrassing lopsided scoreline. But to me, the game was over before the Cam Ward fumble even happened. It was over when they made the decision there at the end of the second half when the Patriots. And I found it so funny that Mike Vrabel goes forward on fourth down, ready to put his foot on the gas. And I mean, why would he have of course he had faith they were going to pick up the first. The defense was terrible. They played soft on 4th and 1 and gave up that completion, which was a nice one-handed grab, reach behind him.
No, see, I want to talk about that play. You're talking about turning points.
I agree with you a little bit, but it's fine. I know what you're going to say.
You're talking about turning points, and I don't like the end-to-half sequence. You get the ball with 49 seconds and 3 timeouts. Be aggressive. That's what we've been complaining about. Callahan is playing scared for 23, 24 games, whatever it was. And then Mike McCoy, you'd hope to be a little more aggressive. Now, I'll talk about quickly things I liked that Mike McCoy did that were different, that were aggressive. Number one, the first play of the game is a play that Titans fans, and myself included, have been begging the Titans to just run this play. Every team runs this play against the Titans. It goes for 8 to 10 yards every single time. The Titans never run it. They open the play with it. They open the game with this play. They pick up a first down on the first play. Their next play is a Cam Ward drop back, quick pass right over the middle. It's like, is it so hard to start things off like this and get your rookie quarterback in a rhythm? It's not that hard. The Titans did it, and I loved that they did it. Now, the wheels fell off as the game went on, but at least, that's something that I'm going to point to and say, this gives me a little bit more hope that we'll just see some productive moments from the Titans offense going forward this season. Again, the win-loss record doesn't matter. The Titans are better off losing every game at this point. You know Mike McCoy's not the future of the team. You just want to see improvement. So those things were good. The end-of-half sequence, not good. Don't like that decision. Again, what do you have to lose? You're already losing the game. What do you have to lose? Cam Ward throws an interception there. Cam Ward takes a bad sack, strip sack, fumble, whatever. The Patriots get the ball and score again before the half. I get it's only a 4-point game, and you're trying to get a win in your first outing as the interim head coach if you're Mike McCoy, and the team wants to be fired up for him. I'm tired of the team making decisions out of fear. It's something I talked about during this week, earlier in the week, when Nick Holtz goes up to the podium on Thursday and says we can't run the up-tempo offense. We can't just run that unless the regular offense has strung together some first downs. Why? because we're afraid that the defense is going to have to come back on the field after being on the sideline for 20 seconds if you throw 3 passes and they go incomplete and you're off the field. That's a decision made out of fear. You're worried that something's going to go wrong versus being optimistic, and not even optimistic, just like versus drilling into your guys' heads what could go right and giving them the confidence to go play at a high level and make the plays needed to win a game. Play aggressive, don't play scared. The end-of-half sequence was a perfect example of taking the scared approach. We're afraid we're going to do something wrong, and the Patriots are going to get the ball back and be able to score again before halftime.
And you hadn't done a lot wrong up until that point, right? Like the offense had a pretty good first half. And again, what bothered me most about it is if you go out there and get a field goal, this is how I thought about it. I had such little faith in the defense. You go out there and get a field goal, even if they come out second half that they score a touchdown on the first possession, you're down 8. It's a 1-score game. If I can then go get a touchdown and tie this game, I feel really good about where I'm at. I've got some momentum. Maybe that motivates the defense to get a stop, right? Like just so many things could go right in that situation. But instead they played scared. They got what they deserved, and the Patriots blew it wide open.
And then the thing that got me started on that tangent was I did want to talk about that 4th down play, because all those decisions happen. We disagree with the end-of-half sequence, whatever. We disagree with all that. That didn't seal the game. What sealed the game was on 4th and 1, your middle linebacker, Cody Barton, who we need to have a serious conversation about, is reading the Patriots formation. He's making calls and checks in the middle of the defense before the snap. And then he drops back like 12 yards to the wide side. It's 4th and 1. And nobody covers right in the middle of Drake May's vision, right over the middle of the field. The Titans get lucky, and the pass is horribly inaccurate, thrown way behind Demario Douglas, Pop Douglas, whatever the hell his name is, whatever he wants to go by, Douglas. And he makes an insane one-handed catch. That's the turning point of the game, because if the Titans get off the field there, it might spark a little momentum. They get away with bad defense, but it leads to 0 points. Now you have the ball back down 17-13. Maybe you get something going there. That 4th down play changed the entire course of this game. And so I just wanted to point that out as like something that I felt was a major turning point. But the Titans cannot give up a completion that easily on that 4th down. And I think overall, the offense only puts up 13 points. They turn the ball over twice. They give up 5 sacks. It wasn't a good offensive performance, but can we say the offense lost them? I guess the offense did give up 7 points also, but the defense, man, it felt like they just couldn't get off the field in this game. Even on the drives where they did get stops, it felt like the Patriots did have a 3 and out, but it felt like for the majority of the game that the Patriots were able to do whatever they wanted. And like you said, they could have hung 40 in this game, but they played it a little more bleed the clock out approach because they didn't need to keep scoring because the Titans offense was so bad. Mike McCoy talked all week about, I want to play complementary football, all 3 phases coming together. You didn't do that. And maybe this team just doesn't have the horses, just doesn't have the talent to do that. Especially, again, you lose your best player on the entire roster and the leader of your defense in Jeffrey Simmons, but it's not like the defense was playing well before Simmons got hurt.
Correct. I mean, like, I'm comfortable putting it on the whole team. I don't think we need to put it on one unit because they were both awful. Like, the offense, as exciting as it started, it still scored 13 points, committed multiple turnovers, and the defense allowed 24 points, I guess, but allowed Drake May and Ramondre Stevenson to do whatever the hell they wanted when they wanted it. So
it's funny because yes, it is an all-around loss. It's funny, though, on the preview show, I'm talking with Easton, and we're like, what's the game plan? How do you beat this Patriots team? And I said, on defense, stop the run and don't let these Patriots receivers get behind you. The Titans absolutely failed. I'm just sort of patting myself on the back a little bit because I felt like I called how to beat the Patriots team. And if you do those two things, you actually have a chance in this game. But they didn't do that at all. The chat really wants us to have an honest discussion about Cam Ward's fumbles. Let's talk about Cam Ward's fumbles. Did Cam Ward have a fumbling problem in college? Well, yes, he did. Up until the time he transferred to Miami, he had a pretty bad fumbling problem. At Miami, I think he fumbled 3 times, lost 2 of those. This is off the top of my head, so I might be missing a fumble here or there, but I think that's accurate, as he fumbled 3 times at Miami and lost 2. Before that, he had fumbled plenty of times at Wazoo and Incarnate Word. It was a bit of a problem. But going into the draft, I at least thought, oh, this is something that he has put to bed his last year at Miami. I think we can probably attribute that improvement more to having real pass protection at Miami, something he didn't have at Wazoo. He has 9-inch hands. Now, 9-inch hands are not tiny. They're not Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's 8.5-inch hands. Joe Burrow has 9-inch hands, but they are small, 8th percentile hand size for Cam Ward. Is that why last week against the Raiders, he pats the ball out of his own hand when he's rolling out to the left? In this game, he's getting chased by K'Lavon Chaisson, backing up, goes to try to throw the ball away, and it squeezes out of his hand. Maybe that's it. It's not like, and I guess he's also had other ball security issues, just getting strip sacked in the pocket. There was another play against the Raiders, obviously Devin White coming up the middle, knocking out of his hand. Like, it's not like he's done a great job protecting the ball. He said earlier this week, ball security is job security in his Wednesday press conference. He's got to take that seriously. And again, it's 7 games into his rookie season, a tumultuous rookie season where his play caller was changed 3 games into his career. His head coach was fired 6 games into his career. There's not a lot we can hold against Cam Ward. Whether fair or unfair, that's just the way it's going to work, is he's going to get a fresh start with a new coaching staff next season before any long-term decisions about his standing with this team are made. Is there concern creeping in to my head, to your head, analysts, media, the fan base, that Cam Ward is not the guy? I understand if that concern is creeping in, but I would just urge you to be patient with it, because it's a long season. This was a bad game. He had a great first half and a terrible second half until garbage time in the second half. The Titans had run 8 plays for -3 yards. Okay? That's not just on Cam Ward. That's on the whole offense. And when you're dealing with a talent deficiency, when you're, the best receiver on your team is not playing, when your J.C. Latham is getting cooked on it feels like a down-to-down basis, anytime the Titans don't have a chip on that right side, Latham's getting cooked. And they were chipping a lot in this game, and it helped. But they can't do it every single play. And when they don't, they need J.C. Latham to get back to being J.C. Latham. He's still working his way back from an injury, missed a lot of time, only a second game back. I'm not worried about some of these guys long term. It's going to be frustrating. It's a frustrating season. It's a frustrating era because the Titans aren't good. The coaching staff is in flux. Who knows, what kind of direction, what kind of future a lot of these players and coaches have beyond this season. It's not a great environment for a rookie quarterback. So all that to say, I'm getting a little concerned. There's a slight amount of concern is creeping in, but I'm nowhere near ready to say the Titans need to consider Mendoza with the number 1 pick, like Easton Freeze has been getting flamed on Twitter for saying earlier this week. And I'm nowhere close to saying that J.C. Latham needs to become the right guard, which a lot of people are saying. Let's give him a little time to get his feet back under him after the injury. Let's give Cam Ward a little time as a rookie in this league. And I don't know, there's not a lot to say. It's it sucks right now. And until you see something better on the field, I can understand why everyone's frustrated. But the reality of the situation is it's going to be frustrating right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to have any long-term conversations because I think that's really premature to have. I'll talk about the fumbling. Is it a problem? I mean, right now it is. Of course it is, right? You know what it kind of reminds me of? Brian Callahan, week 1 does something really stupid, and then week 2 does something really stupid. It's going to get pointed out. I mean, Cam Ward cannot lose the handle of the football 2 weeks in a row without anyone knocking it out of his hand, right? I should never even have to say that sentence, in all honesty, right? And on this one, it happens on his own 5-10 yard line, and it's picked up for a walk-in touchdown. It can't happen. And yes, I'm a big believer in the hand size is a thing, and it's a problem for him. He's got small hands. He does. So, you've got hope that he could figure it out because he seemed to have figured it out from going to Washington State to Miami, like you pointed out. But it's a problem right now. It doesn't mean it's always going to be a problem, but it means it requires a lot of his attention right now, and he's got to figure out why it's happening, and he's got to put a stop to it because it just can't happen. And it certainly can't happen 2 weeks in a row. And it can't happen when no one knocks the ball out of your hands. You can't just drop it. So, it's a huge, huge problem right now, and it's something he's got to commit a lot of time, to sorting and figuring out.
I still believe in Cam Ward for what it's worth. People in the chat pointing out I was the Ward guy. Somebody at the start of the chat said Graver was wrong about Cam Ward. It's come on, guys. 7 games of his rookie season in the worst environment in the league. That doesn't mean that it's just going to get better magically if they hire a good coach in 2026. But you can't give up on the idea. And certainly myself, who has a lot personally, just emotionally invested in Cam Ward being good and being the guy, and pretty much my entire reputation as a football analyst for this team, considering how hard I campaigned for Cam Ward in the spring of this year, Again, am I a little bit nervous about it? Obviously. How could you not be after what's transpired? You know, you were hoping in September at least that he was going to be the Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, have that effect on this team. You know, it takes a good coaching staff and a good defense to have that effect on a team. So maybe then you're hoping for a Caleb Williams or at least a Drake May type of season. Now, Drake May was not very productive. Like, can we talk about how Drake May's stats last year were pretty much terrible if you just look at the box score? But it was the film that everyone was excited about with Drake May, and he's put it all together this year under a good coaching staff. I don't think Drake May had nearly the kind of mistakes that Cam Ward has made so far in this year, but Drake May did have his fair share of rookie mistakes too. Okay, like it's just so hard to evaluate a rookie and say that they're a bust, and it feels like that's what the Titans fans want to say right now, at least a lot of them. So I don't know. I'm struggling.
Coaching staff? Okay, Drake May's got a good coaching staff.
I think it's pretty obvious Drake May has a good coaching staff, and Mike Vrabel can be a good coach and still have deserved to be fired from the Tennessee Titans. I think both those things can be true, and you can believe that Mike Vrabel should never have been fired. And honestly, like, I can't blame you for believing that. This is an opinion thing. This isn't a somebody's right and somebody's wrong thing. Right. I know you feel strongly that the Titans made a huge mistake firing Mike Vrabel. I didn't want to get into this conversation because it's been like just in obnoxious levels all week. And Diana Rossini, who we know is very close to Mike Vrabel from his time in Tennessee, putting out the greatest puff piece of all time over the weekend heading into this game, didn't help things. I just don't I don't care to talk about it. It just annoys, the whole thing just annoys me. The Titans, did they make a mistake? Did they not make a mistake? It doesn't matter. It's in the past. Like, who cares?
I'm just being tongue in cheek because it's funny.
No, I know.
That Drake May's got a good, and all his assistants are the guys everyone hated. Todd Downing's there. I think Jason Hoteling's there. Like, they're all there with him. So it's just funny to hear someone say a good coaching staff. But
and Gibby and Robert Spillane and Harold Landry and all these guys
in this game. Yeah, like, it's just
all these guys that we saw come through Nashville at some point or another. Let's talk a little bit about some bright spots in this game. It was really nice to see T'Vondre Sweat get a sack.
I guess we got 30 seconds left in this pod if we're talking bright spots.
Oh, come on. There's more than that. T'Vondre Sweat with a really nice pair of back-to-back plays, gets a sack on Drake May, chases him down as he's trying to scramble on the next play for a short gain to bring up a long third down. Titans get off the field on that sequence. It's nice to see T'Vondre Sweat back in the lineup, making a big play. Obviously, the run defense in the first half, like, T'Vondre Sweat's a part of that, but a lot of those runs were bounced outside, and there was no edge contain and no safety coming downhill and no cornerback out there to make the tackle. A lot of that was due to the edge play, and the Titans were down multiple edge players going into this game. Again, they lose Draymond Jones in the third quarter, so that was a tough situation for the defense. But I loved seeing T'Vondre Sweat get after the quarterback, and that's something that we're going to have to see a lot more, especially if Jeffrey Simmons has to miss time. So there you go, a bright spot.
I'm not ready to agree, to be honest with you. I think I'm just so much lower on T'Vondre Sweat than you are right now. I think we haven't seen him pretty much all. I know we haven't seen him all year. Because in the first half, I thought he didn't look good. Yeah, some of those runs were bounced outside, but a lot of them were up the middle too, and they're running for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. And my 350-pound second-round nose tackle has got to do a bit more in that situation, especially when Jeffrey Simmons looked like he was getting double-teamed every play when he was in the game. I'm just really low on the T'Vondre Sweat experience right now, to be honest with you. I mean, everything rubbing me the wrong way, from how his offseason and training camp went to saying he was going to play and then ending up on IR, and like, it just hasn't been a good sophomore season for T'Vondre Sweat so far. And that just doesn't include because he hasn't played a lot. That includes everything that occurred at training camp. And I'm just low on that experience right now. So
Jacob Neal has a response to you saying Mike Vrabel has a good coaching staff there assembled around him. Yes, he has Todd Downing and Jason Hotelling. He also has Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator. That's like Art Smith in Tennessee, only with a much longer track record of success and multiple Super Bowls to go along with it. That is a pretty big difference than Todd Downing, the receivers coach, versus Todd Downing, your play calling OC, who gets a DUI halfway through the season.
I don't want to get into this, but I'll say two things about it. Everyone friggin' hates Josh McDaniels, essentially, until he's Mike Vrabel's offensive coordinator. Now it's an excuse for Mike Vrabel.
I totally disagree with that. Everyone hates Josh McDaniels, the head coach. Everyone
by the end of that run as OC, there were plenty of complaints about him too. I mean, that's any fan base. When a team's not winning, and they didn't win at the end of Josh McDaniels' run as OC, they were ready to move on from him. That whole fan base was. And not to get into this discussion sort of too, I don't think Tim Kelly often gets grouped with Todd Downing. I don't think Tim Kelly was a huge issue as the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. Personnel, I thought, was a bigger issue for Tim Kelly near the end there. I mean, they were awful personnel-wise on offense. So I'm tired of people grouping Tim Kelly in with Todd Downing was awful, and Vrabel deserves all the flack for the loyalty that he showed to Todd Downing as his coordinator, but Tim Kelly wasn't a problem.
Another bright spot. I'm glad I was going to say this anyway,
Chimere
Jay
DK,
Boogie, but
of course.
yeah, Jay Boogie brings it up. This was going to be my next, where I was going after Sweat. Chimere DK continues to excel in the return game. He put the Titans, set the Titans up with great field position numerous times. Every time the Patriots decided to try a kickoff, except for the one weird play from the Titans where they like faked the Music City Miracle revert, not Music City Miracle exactly, but they faked a reverse and Chimere DK keeps it and it just gets freaking smacked at like the 20-yard line. Other than that, consistently set the Titans up with good field position, did a really good job fielding punts, especially short punts that were like landing at the 20, that he was starting to play at the 5-yard line and running up under it. Really good ability to track those balls and get underneath them and make safe, fair catches. And then finally gets involved in the offense and breaks out. He had caught back-to-back passes, I think. Was it back-to-back passes? I'm not sure exactly. He picked up a first down on a little swing play. The 38-yard touchdown, that's like what you bring Chimere DK here to do. Even the play before that, which was a dot by Cam Ward threading the needle on that deep crossing route, and then a really deep crossing route, the deep post to DK for the touchdown on like a little throwback, very reminiscent a little bit of Will Levis to Nick Westbrook-Akina for his 4th touchdown against the Atlanta Falcons in his rookie year. But just a great route by Chim, a great throw by Cam. And again, like the offense in the first quarter, you can't really complain about anything that happened outside of maybe Cam Ward was behind Alec Iamaner on that first 3rd down that set up the field goal and ended that drive. And Cam Ward, look, he's going to have to fix these things, okay? His footwork on the deep shot to Helm, on the fake Chim little swing out pass, and then it goes downfield to Helm. His feet are still pointing at the sideline like he's throwing the swing out to Chim. These are the little things that he's continuing to work on. He's going to have to continue to get better at, and that's part of being a rookie. So again, I'm not going to make any sweeping declarations. Sweat does need to be in better shape, Daryl. I agree, and that's you maybe can attribute some of his first half struggles against the run to he hasn't played since week 1. Same thing. I'm giving J.C. Latham a little bit of grace. I'm just giving the guys coming back from injury a little bit of grace, and if it's still a problem in 3 or 4 weeks, I'm not going to hide from it. I'll say I was giving them grace and that grace has run out and now they're playing bad or whatever. Like if that's still the case in week 10, then we have an issue. But for now, it's like this is a team playing for an interim head coach that they've got to know isn't going to be there next year. I mean, they're asking Cam Ward this week in press conferences what you'd like to see in the next Titans head coach. They're not saying, would you like to see Mike McCoy? It's like people know that that's the direction. There's reports leaking every day this week, it felt like, about which candidates the Titans are considering and who's on their short list, and every insider's got a different group of names that is going to be on the short list, which is probably just agents calling the insiders and saying, hey, get my guy's name in the mix so that the Titans call him for an interview. But there's so much distraction and dysfunction surrounding this team that it's really hard to just like focus in on who's good and who's bad of these players. Now, that said, the secondary is terrible. Cody Barton has been a disappointment. Kevin Zeitler even has been a disappointment. Dan Moore gave up another sack today on a play where he just got run around the arc by Caleb on Chason. There's a lot, like you pointed this out. Mike Borgonzi's first free agent class coming into question here. We can wrap this thing up, by the way, if you don't have anything else, but I was going to bring up your point there. Like the free agents Borgonzi brought in are struggling, and Jalen Armour-Davis is got to be one of the worst corners in the National Football League through 7 games.
Yeah, he's really bad, and it just puts another spotlight on the Jarvis Brownlee decision, in my opinion. I mean, I don't care if that sounds like beating a dead horse. It deserves to be beaten because don't forget about what he did there, right? Like the GM, he traded Jarvis Brownlee, put Jalen Armour-Davis in the starting lineup, and JAD is just awful. And Jarvis Brownlee was really good for the Jets last week. Not sure how he did this week yet, but yeah, Cody Barton, Draymond Jones, Kevin Zeitler, like Dan Moore, like the whole free agent class right now looks honestly terrible. The draft class looks pretty good, but the free agent class looks awful. And you'll often find that GMs are, consistently good at one and consistently bad at the other. And I think for Mike Borgonzi right now, it's too early to say with certainty, but the initial return is good draft class, really bad free agency class. On DK, I'll quickly add, that was the only bright spot I was comfortable mentioning because Not only was he great in the return game, but he made some plays as a receiver that, in all honesty, I don't think Brian Callahan trusted him to make. It was nice to see him do anything more than run a screen, right? Like to actually run a deep crosser route. And he ran multiple, as you said. He had a couple. That one catch where you mentioned Ward thread the needle in traffic, and then you've got the touchdown. Like, it was nice to see him run traditional routes and make explosive plays instead of keeping everything near the line of scrimmage like Brian Callahan did. Don't have a whole lot else. You talked about this defense earlier. There are legitimately maybe 2-3 tops, like redeeming players on this defense, like players with redeeming qualities that are here, that should be here next year. Like I literally put that list right now at Jeffrey Simmons. For me, I still include Amani Hooker, though I don't think he's played well this year. I'm not, I don't feel strongly enough to say Amani Hooker shouldn't be here. Like I'm giving him enough grace based on his body of work. I can't, Kevin Winston obviously is going to be here, but in terms of what we've seen, like redeeming qualities have to be starters next year. I'd honestly end the list. I know you would put
Cedric Gray.
That's what I was going to say. I would end the list at Simmons, Gray, and Hooker. Like, those are the only three that I'm comfortable with. I like Roger McCreary, but I have no confidence that he's going to be here next year.
I think McCreary gets traded between now and November 4th. And let's get to this question in the chat.
Like, I like McCreary, but I don't think he's going to be here next year, whether it's a trade this week or next week or free agency. And, again, Winston, hopefully, but we haven't seen it. And Sweat, I'm not. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they trade Sweat in the offseason, to be honest with you.
I mean, he could be traded anytime. And this question from Mutato, do you think we see players being moved in trades this week? I don't know about this week, but the answer to this question is a absolute resounding yes. I think if they get enough of an offer for Tony. Now, Easton put out an article this week, and he's talked to Chad Brinker, so this is an interesting conundrum, and we can get into this week on the podcasts. We need to wrap this up here in a minute. But what trades are the Titans actually going to be willing to make, and what are they weighing and considering these things? And Easton reported, after talking to Chad Brinker, that the number one consideration is helping Cam Ward. So if they get the right offer for Calvin Ridley and for Tony Pollard and guys on the offense like that are directly helping Cam Ward, and obviously Ridley would have to get healthy first for anything to materialize, would they make that trade for draft capital knowing that it might put Ward in a more difficult position? It'd have to be a really good offer. Now, my personal opinion is that running backs are a dime a dozen, and you can, unless they're super special, you can find one, and you can promote guys off the street that will give you enough to get by for a rookie quarterback in a season that is long gone in terms of being lost. If they get a 5th round offer for Tony Pollard, even a 6th, then they should do it. If they get an offer for McCreary, who, again, we like McCreary, but we're pretty confident that this front office doesn't because of his arm length and because of Chad Brinker's thresholds that he has for positions. If they get an offer for McCreary, get rid of him. I like T'Vondre Sweat, especially because I went to Texas. If they get the right offer for T'Vondre Sweat, yeah, they're going to move him. They're going to move these guys if they get the right offer. So it's all about weighing that. And if for all the fans out there who are like, why would you trade a productive, important member of your team for a 6th round pick? Like, keep in mind, this team was able to add Alec Manor because they traded a 5th and a 6th, and they turned that into an extra 4th. So you stockpile enough of these 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, you can turn those into extra 3rds and extra 4ths to move up the board to get guys that can actually come in and help your team. So it's not just like one 6th round pick that they pick up from this trade. It's like extra ammunition to move around the draft board, and that's the way fans need to be thinking about this. I'm ready to wrap this up. You want to give any final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll leave it for, like you said, this week. But I'll say the 4 players I think are likeliest to get traded are Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Chigakonkwo, and Roger McCreary. Like, those 4 are the ones that stick out to me. When I think of Chad Brinker's comment of, like, who helps Cam Ward, to me, that's the Tony Pollard, Kevin Zeitler discussion, because those are the 2 players I think they're likeliest to maybe get an offer for. I don't think Calvin Ridley is going to get traded. And I don't know that Calvin Ridley's here next year, but I don't necessarily think there's going to be a Calvin Ridley trade within the next 2 weeks. But for me, I think it's the defensive side of the ball. Those guys are likelier to get dealt. Watch out for Arden Key and Draymond Jones for sure.
Yeah, the talent on the defensive side of the ball is so poor that it's not like the talent on the offensive side of the ball is great, but you're probably 1 or 2 pieces away from the offense having, some playmakers and being good, and the growth of the rookie class turning into sophomores next year with Gunner and Chim and Ian Manor, like all those guys getting better. Obviously Cam Ward too. If Jackson Slater becomes a starter next year, like you're talking about, you need to add one really good receiver maybe at the top of the second round, or depending on where you end up drafting. On the defensive side of the ball, you need so much. You're going to need 3 starting corners. You're probably going to need a linebacker upgrade. Maybe that's something you can put off another year. You definitely need at least 1, if not 2 edge rushers. You're going to need so much on that side. The fact that you're probably having to replace all 3 starting corners next year is a crazy place for this defense to be. And then not having really any talent on the edge. That's probably, if the Titans end up with the 1.01 draft pick, you're probably looking at an edge there. So, and I know a lot of fans want a wide receiver, but look for that top of the second round, I think. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We appreciate all you guys. Meant to mention Sinkers earlier. Head over to Sinkers Beverages, grab yourself a drink away your sorrows. Join the in crowd on the Sinkers Beverages website. Free to join, exclusive members only club. And thanks for stopping by the live stream. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already done so. And stay after, as soon as the stream ends, which is going to be like 30 to 45 seconds, leave a comment on the actual video. We appreciate the chat comments that are coming in, but on the actual video, leaving a comment, nothing helps us more than you guys doing that. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll try to just keep podcasting our way through this miserable season. Justin, any last words?
No, that does it, man. Appreciate you guys. Felt good to be back in the saddle here. Thanks to you and all the guests who held down the week that I was off. But feels good to be back, even if it doesn't feel good to watch Titans football. But until tomorrow, when we'll be back to talk about something that regarding this hellhole of an organization, y'all stay safe out there and tighten up.
A Broadway sports media production.